Hello there, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a professional prompt. So let's dive right in. Once upon a time in the bustling city of Sweetopolis, where buildings were made of pure chocolate and streets were paved with rainbow sprinkles, there lived a brave little cupcake named Captain Cupcake. He wasn't just any cupcake, though. Oh no, he was a fearless adventurer with a thick layer of vanilla frosting, a candy cane sword, and a cherry on top of his head that bobbed excitedly whenever he went on an exciting quest. Now, Captain Cupcake wasn't brave enough to go on quests alone. No, sir. He had his best friend by his side, a jiggly, happy-go-lucky donut named Jelly. Together, this odd but lovable duo took on any challenge that came their way, always spreading joy and a little bit of powdered sugar wherever they went. One day, as Captain Cupcake and Jelly were strolling through the market, which was overflowing with fresh fruit, fizzy drinks, and pastries of every kind, they noticed something strange. The normally vibrant and colorful town seemed a bit dull, and the cheerful atmosphere had taken a sour turn. Captain Cupcake's cherry, usually bouncing with optimism, drooped like a wilted flower. "Where are the sprinkles?" he asked in a small voice. The sprinkles that adorned the roofs, the trees, and the clothes of the townspeople were gone, leaving Sweetopolis looking as though someone had sucked all the fun out of it. Old Man Muffin, who was sitting on a nearby bench fanning himself with a cupcake liner, overheard their question. "The sprinkles!" he rasped, his voice like crumbs crackling. "They've been stolen by the wicked sprinkle thief?" He explained that without the sprinkles, the citizens of Sweetopia lost not only their vibrant colors, but also their smiles and laughter. The very joy and sweetness that made life in Sweetopia so wonderful seemed to have vanished along with the sprinkles. Jelly gasped, her sprinkles falling off in surprise. "We have to help them!" she exclaimed, her usual bouncy attitude returning. "Of course we do," said Captain Cupcake, puffing out his cherry like a proud admiral setting sail on a grand adventure. "To find the sprinkle thief and bring back the sprinkles, we must venture into the Sour Patch, a land of perpetual gloom where joy is outlawed and everything tastes like vinegar." The thought of facing such a dreadful place made Captain Cupcake's frosting crumble a bit. But he knew that the people of Sweetopia needed him, and he couldn't let them down. With a deep breath, he straightened his candy cane sword and said, "Onward to the Sour Patch, Jello." Their journey was long and fraught with peril. They braved the licorice bridge, which swayed dangerously with every step they took. They outsmarted the sour gummy worms that tried to trick them with false trails. And they even befriended a troop of adorable but mischievous soda pop penguins who loved nothing more than playing pranks on unsuspecting travelers. These penguins, with their soda pop-colored fur and fizzy drink squirters, were a handful, but Captain Cupcake and Jelly couldn't resist their playful charm and adopted two of them, a root beer penguin named Fizzy and a ginger ale penguin named Pop. After many more trials, including a run-in with a grumpy old troll who lived under the bridge made of hard candy, our heroes finally reached the edge of the Sour Patch. It was a wasteland of gray, gloomy skies, thorny bushes, and a big sign that read, "Keep out." Captain Cupcake looked at his friends, his face grave. "Are you sure about this, Jelly?" he asked. "I don't think I've ever seen a frown upside down. What if we can't bring back the sprinkles?" Jelly put a comforting sprinkle on Captain Cupcake's shoulder, which tasted like warm chocolate chip cookie dough. "Don't worry, Captain," she said with a wink. "We'll get those sprinkles back. After all, what's a little Sour Patch to a brave cupcake and his donut of justice?" With that, they marched right into the Forbidden Zone. To their surprise, the Sour Patch wasn't as scary as they'd imagined. Sure, everything tasted like vinegar, but it wasn't really a patch. It was more like a theme park. There were roller coasters made of licorice whips, Ferris wheels with sour gummy baskets, and even a teacup ride made of giant orange peel. And the culprit behind all this sourness was none other than the soda pop penguin's favorite prankster, the one and only sprinkle thief. He was a chubby little guy with green hair, wearing a black and white striped shirt and a chef's hat perched jauntily on his head. And in his hands, he held a giant spoon that looked like it had stolen the shine from the silver spoon. He was busy dipping the tip of his spoon into a giant pot of rainbow sprinkles, then flinging them high in the air and catching them with a flourish. When he saw Captain Cupcake, Jelly, and their new penguin friends approaching, he gave them a cocky grin and said, "Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. Come to join the party, have you?" "Release those sprinkles, you villain," demanded Captain Cupcake, brandishing his candy cane sword. "You've caused enough sourness. It's time to turn over a new leaf, if not for yourself, then for the people of Sweetopia. The sprinkle thief threw his head back and laughed, a sound like nails on a chalkboard. "And what makes you think I'll listen to a couple of sugar-coated do-gooders?" he sneered. "You wouldn't happen to be scared of a little sourness, would you? Just a little taste of this?" He pulled out a jar filled with neon green goo that tasted like dirty socks. Before anyone could stop him, he flung a glob at Captain Cupcake, who cried out as it landed on his once pristine frosting. But instead of melting into a puddle of despair, the green goo did something extraordinary. It started to fizz and sparkle like a bottle of champagne. And before long, it turned into a thick, creamy frosting, a color that shifted between mint green and turquoise like a summer sky. "What?" gasped the sprinkle thief, dropping his spoon in shock. "That's impossible. That's supposed to be super sour. How can you like it?" Captain Cupcake shrugged, unsure how it happened, but liking the new taste in his mouth, he gave the sprinkle thief a confused look. "Maybe," he said slowly, "a little sourness isn't so bad. In fact, it's quite refreshing, just like a mint-flavored cupcake." The sprinkle thief stared at him, his face paling as he realized what had happened. He hadn't just stolen the sprinkles. He'd stolen the secret to making perfect cupcakes, a secret known only to the bakers of Sweetopia. A secret that made Captain Cupcake's humble cupcake powers go wild in the presence of sourness. With a defeated sigh, he dropped his jars and the rest of the sprinkles fell out, bouncing merrily onto the ground. The sight of the colorful sprinkles brought back the joy in Captain Cupcake's heart, and he felt a smile tugging at his lips. The sprinkle thief was right. A little sourness wasn't so bad. In fact, it was kind of fun. As the sun set over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, our heroes returned to Sweetopia with the rescued sprinkles and the knowledge that sometimes a little bit of sourness can make things a whole lot sweeter. From that day on, Captain Cupcake and Jelly continued to have adventures, bringing joy and laughter to everyone they met. And as for the sprinkle thief, well, he became the most successful baker in Sweetopia, famous for his one-of-a-kind sour sprinkle cupcakes. After all, a little bit of sourness never hurt anyone, except maybe those who didn't like sprinkles.